You may have heard many ghost stories and urban legends, but today, let me introduce you to a particularly terrifying urban legend from Indonesian folklore, the Kuntilanak. The Kuntilanak is a famous ghost from Indonesian and Malay folklore. She is the spirit of a woman who died tragically, often during childbirth. Known for her eerie white dress and long, disheveled hair, she roams the night, her mournful cries luring people closer. Her legend serves as a chilling warning about the dangers of wandering alone after dark. In 2009, my father, Pak Wayan, attended a wedding in a nearby town. It was a grand event, filled with laughter, music, and delicious food. The celebration went on late into the night, and everyone enjoyed the festivities. But around midnight, the sky darkened, and a heavy rainstorm began. At about 12:30 a.m., my father decided it was time to go home. He had a long ride ahead, so he hopped on his scooter and chose to take a shortcut through the old banana plantation. He knew it would save him time, and the main road was becoming very muddy-dot. And this was his biggest mistake. The rain was pouring heavily, and the path through the plantation was slippery. The wind howled through the trees, and the ground was turning into a thick, gooey mess. As he rode through the plantation, visibility was poor. The rain and darkness made it hard to see much beyond the beam of his scooter's headlight. Suddenly, he noticed a strange, sweet fragrance in the air. It was like frangipani flowers, even though there were no flowers nearby. The scent seemed to cut through the smell of wet earth and rain. As he tried to figure out where the smell was coming from, he heard a faint, unsettling sound, a soft, sad crying coming from somewhere ahead. My father slowed his scooter and listened carefully. The crying sound grew louder, echoing eerily through the rain-soaked plantation. He called out, "Hello, is someone there?" But the only response was the continued sound of crying. It was clear that someone or something was out there in the darkness. Feeling uneasy, my father cautiously moved forward. The path was treacherous, and he had to be careful not to slip. The crying became more distinct, guiding him deeper into the plantation. The rain seemed to fall harder, and the wind picked up, adding to the eerie atmosphere. As he rounded a bend, he saw a figure ahead. A woman was walking slowly along the path. She wore a long white dress that clung to her in the rain, and her long black hair was hanging over her face. She seemed to be the source of the crying. My father stopped his scooter and called out to her, "Miss, do you need help?" The woman didn't respond. She didn't even turn around. She continued to walk, her crying growing softer but still present. My father felt a chill. The air around him seemed to grow colder, and an unsettling silence filled the space where her crying had been. He approached her slowly, trying to see her face, but her hair covered it completely. The air felt heavy and strange. Suddenly, the crying stopped altogether. The woman turned slowly to face him. My father's heart nearly stopped when he saw her face. Her face was pale and ghostly, with dark, hollow eyes that seemed to stare right through him. Her mouth was twisted into a creepy, unsettling smile. My father's blood ran cold. He realized he was staring at the Kuntilanak, the ghostly figure everyone feared in the village. In a rush of panic, he remembered an old warning from the village elders. If you encounter the Kuntilanak, you should hold a sharp object to protect yourself. My father reached into his pocket and pulled out a small knife he always carried. He held it up in front of him, trying to steady his trembling hands. The Kuntilanak let out a horrifying scream that seemed to pierce through the storm. The sound echoed through the plantation, making it feel like the whole world was shaking. Terrified, my father jumped back onto his scooter and turned on the engine. The scooter skidded through the mud as he sped away. The ghostly laughter of the Kuntilanak followed him, growing fainter as he raced down the path. The rain pelted his face and the wind howled, but he didn't stop until he reached the edge of the plantation. Once he was safely out, he drove as fast as he could home. When he finally arrived home, it was just after 1 a.m. He was soaked to the bone and his heart was still racing. Shaken and exhausted, he told us about his encounter. We listened in fear and disbelief, knowing he had narrowly escaped a terrifying experience. From that night on, my father avoided the banana plantation after dark. The memory of that ghostly encounter remained vivid in his mind, and he always reminded us to be careful and stay away from that place. The stormy night and the Kuntilanak chilling presence left a lasting mark on our family, making us all think twice before traveling near the old plantation after dark. If you also have any real horror stories or experiences, you can share them via this email, and don't forget to subscribe us for more creepiness.